You've never once been jealous of someone's savings account, but you've absolutely been jealous of their car.
Okay, that's oddly specific. What did I do?
Nothing. Everybody does it. Nobody's ever pulled up at a red light, seen a nice bank statement in the next lane, and felt a pang of, man, I want that. But a car? A watch? A new kitchen? Every time.
Because I can't see someone's bank statement. I can see their car.
Exactly. And that's the whole problem in one sentence.
What problem? I thought this was going to be about saving money.
It is. Here's the part that doesn't add up. Most people already know the boring stuff that would save them real money every month. Cook more, cancel the subscriptions you forgot about, buy the store brand, drive the car another 2 years. It's not a mystery. You could recite the list back to me right now.
Cook at home, cancel Netflix, buy generic Advil. Yeah, I know the list.
So why aren't you doing it?
I don't know. I guess it just doesn't feel like it matters that much. One coffee isn't going to change my life.
It's never actually about the coffee. Nearly half of Americans, 47% according to Bankrate's most recent savings report, couldn't cover a surprise $1,000 expense without going into debt. Not because they don't know how compounding works. Not because nobody told them to make coffee at home. It's something else.
So what is it?
You just told me. You said the bank statement doesn't make you jealous, but the car does.
Oh.
There's a term for that. Economists call it conspicuous consumption.
Conspicuous? Like obvious?
Right, spending that's designed to be seen. And here's the twist that actually matters. It's not the wealthy who spend the highest share of their money on it. A study out of the National Bureau of Economic Research tracked this directly, and the pattern held the opposite way. Households with less income and less wealth spend a larger share of what they have on things other people can see.
Wait, that's backwards. Shouldn't rich people be the ones buying the flashy stuff?
They buy it too, but relative to what they actually have, it's the households with less who put more of it into physical signals.
Why would you do that if you have less to work with?
Because the whole point of the signal is to close the gap. If you can't show people your net worth, you show them something that looks like it.
Okay, but hold on. That kind of sounds like you're saying poor people are just bad with money. That's harsh.
It's not about being bad with money. It's about what the money's for. If a purchase is a signal, spending less on it doesn't just save you a dollar amount. It costs you the signal too. That's a real cost, even if it never shows up in a bank account.
So the boring habits don't fail because they don't work? They fail because they don't say anything?
Now you're getting it. A store brand painkiller works exactly the same as the name brand. Nobody's ever going to see it in your medicine cabinet and think less of you. But drive an 11-year-old car into a parking lot next to your coworkers, and that one's visible. The habit that saves you the most money is often the one that costs you the least in status, which is exactly backwards from how most people rank their priorities.
Okay, explain this then. My grandpa's actually loaded, and he still drives a truck from like 2009 and clips coupons. If this is about signaling, shouldn't he be signaling the hardest of anybody?
You'd think so, but there's research on this going back over a century. An economist named Thorstein Veblen coined the term conspicuous consumption all the way back in 1899. And behavioral studies since then keep finding the same pattern your grandpa's living out. Genuinely wealthy people practice frugality more often than they practice excess. It's part of what got them there in the first place.
So the actual rich people are the ones who don't need to prove it.
That's my read on it, yeah. Not a stat, just the pattern the research keeps pointing at. Once you don't need the signal to convince anyone, the habit stops costing you anything socially. It's just math again.
Okay, so what's the actual loophole here? If I know this now, what do I actually do with it?
Here's the part that changes everything once you see it. Status signals only work when there's an audience. If nobody's watching, the cost of the boring choice disappears completely.
Meaning what? I just don't let anyone see my car?
Meaning you get honest about which habits are actually visible to anyone who matters to you and which ones only exist inside your own house or your own account. Nobody sees your grocery receipt. Nobody sees your automated transfer hit your savings account the day your paycheck lands. Nobody sees the brand of dish soap under your sink. Every one of those is a place you can save real money at zero social cost because there's no audience to perform for.
And the stuff that actually is visible?
That's where you get to consciously decide whether the signal's worth the money to you. Maybe it is for the one or two things you genuinely care about being seen with. That's fine. The mistake isn't spending on visible things. It's spending on all of them without ever noticing which ones were bought for you and which ones were bought for an audience.
Give me an actual number here. 2 people, same paycheck. One's doing this, one isn't.
Say 2 people bring home the same salary. One upgrades the car every 3 years, keeps the name brand everything, eats out most nights because that's just what everyone around them does. The other automates their savings the day the paycheck lands, drives their car till it's actually done, and handles the invisible stuff, groceries, generic products, cooking, without a second thought. That second person isn't earning more. They haven't found some secret spreadsheet trick. They've just stopped paying a status tax on things nobody was ever going to notice.
That's a kind of depressing way to describe grocery shopping.
It's the opposite, actually, once you flip it around. It means the fastest lever you have isn't earning more money. It's noticing which of your expenses were invisible the whole time and quietly redirecting that money before you ever miss it.
Okay, but here's my actual pushback. You mentioned the savings rate earlier. Didn't people used to save more than this?
They did. The personal savings rate, how much of their income Americans actually keep instead of spend, sat around 4.5% as of this January. Going back to 1959, the historical average runs closer to 8.4%. In the 1970s specifically, Americans were regularly saving well over 12 cents of every dollar they made. We're saving less than half that now.
So we didn't just get worse at this. We used to be genuinely better at it.
We had fewer visible things to compete over, frankly. Fewer platforms broadcasting everyone else's car, everyone else's kitchen, everyone else's vacation. The audience got bigger, the signal got louder, and the boring habits started losing the popularity contest, even though they never stopped winning the math.
So if I actually wanted to start tomorrow, not the whole cut everything thing, just start, where would I even begin?
Start with the one question this whole video's been building to. Who's actually watching this specific purchase? If the honest answer is nobody, that's your first target. Automate it, downgrade it, cut it, whatever gets it off your plate without relying on willpower every single time. If the honest answer is people I actually care about for a reason that matters to me, keep it and stop feeling guilty about it. The goal was never to spend nothing. It's to stop spending on an audience that was never really watching in the first place.
Okay, that's the first time anyone's explained cut back in a way that didn't make me want to close the tab. So wait, if the audience is the whole reason this stuff costs anything socially, what happens once you actually start keeping the money instead of spending it? Does that change anything or does it just sit there?
Now that's next video.